The latissimus dorsi runs from the upper arms down the back and connects above the hips. The teres major connects from the medial side of the arm to the bottom end of the shoulder blade. Both of these muscles can become stiff due to the overuse of aggressive pulling, pushing, and rotation of the trunk movements in gymnastics. This causes a gymnast to compensate to pull their arms back by flaring out their ribs. The main shape you see this in is their handstand, where it is crucial that a gymnast demonstrates a straight line through their entire body. The pushing motion happens significantly more than the pulling motion on all events to reflect their body away from an apparatus in order to tumble, vault, and demonstrate proper shapes on bars, such as a cast handstand. This causes the lats, pecs, and the teres muscles to become more prominent than the muscles involved with pulling, including the rhomboids and the muscles that surround the scapula. These muscular imbalances causes immobility and stiffness in the shoulder girdle, making it almost impossible for a gymnast to pull their arms back without flaring out their ribs. If a gymnast is consistently flaring out their ribs to pull their arms back to compensate for the lack of shoulder mobility, it can greatly affect their core activation to isolate a straight line, like in a hollow hold, and to sustain a straight line when pulling into a candlestick position. First, it is important to isolate the shoulders to increase mobility with active flex and exercises that target the posterior muscles in the shoulder girdle in a straight line position by pulling the ribs in and rotating the hips so they are flat. First, it is crucial for a gymnast to isolate the stiff area around the shoulder girdle in positions that leave out the risk of compensating movement by rib flaring to increase the neuromuscular pathways to the muscles that have been neglected in their everyday technique. Laying on a block on the stomach while lifting a straight arm to the side isolates the rhomboids and trapezius to work together in retracting the scapula, similarly to the pulling movement. Here, the gymnast is lifting 10 times, pulsing 10 times, then holding for 10 seconds on each side, 3 times through. The forward pushing movement is greatly prominent in the sport of gymnastics, where the demands of pushing on or off the apparatus and resisting compression when making contact with the hands is consistent. Working on exercises that enhance the opposite movement by rotating the shoulders posteriorly around the rotator cuff will increase overall range and motion in the shoulders. The gymnast will need assistance to correct the mechanical technique since this movement is not as familiar. Again, rotating 10 times, pulsing 10 times, and holding for 10 seconds. To correct the technique and movement, it is important that the gymnast is not given an exercise where they cannot achieve the movement in the optimal position. This will neglect the purpose of correcting shapes in everyday practice. Here, we decrease the intensity by decreasing the angle of her body so that she is able to sustain the straight body while pulling her chin to the bar. The goal is to gradually pull in a horizontal straight body position. Here we are targeting the lower abdominals to activate in order to strengthen the correct firing sequence. First, the gymnast is lifting their toes to candlestick using sliders while laying on her back with their arms pressed flat down to the floor to execute the arms to compensate by pushing down on the floor to help her lift her toes. She did reps of 10 lifts with a 20-second hold 3 times through. In the next exercise, the gymnast is performing tucked leg lifts down an incline with her arms by her ears. She is taking 3 seconds to fully tuck and 3 seconds to straighten out her body. This helps her concentrate on the correct firing sequence in her abdominals. Once this technique strengthens, she can then progress to perform the same exercise on a wall bar to increase intensity. Again, it is important for an athlete to perform exercises at the intensity level where they can correct the neuromuscular patterns and firing sequence to optimize technique in their daily conditioning to then transfer over to their skills. In this exercise, she did 15 sets with a 10-second hold 3 times through.